Hi, it's Writing Wednesday, and I've noticed that there's a tendency on YouTube for a lot of writers to do their vlogs while positioned in front of their beautiful built-in bookshelves. So that's what I'm doing this week, except that my built-in bookshelves are not actually built yet, and Jason's still working on them. But it's wonderful at night to sleep next to the exposed studs and be able to dream about the beautiful bookshelves that I'll have there someday. And that's very appropriate to the topic of this vlog, because I'm going to be talking about dreams. In fact, I am here to crush your dreams. That is, if you're a writer, particularly if you're a writer who dreams of getting published someday. Most of you probably follow your favorite writers on Twitter and read their blogs and read about how they wake up bleary-eyed every morning in a strange hotel room as they're going all around the country on their book tour, and you're thinking, wow, I wish I had their problems. And you're also thinking, when my book's published, that'll be me. And you might be right. And if that's the case, nobody is going to be happier for you than I am. But I think a lot of as yet unpublished writers don't realize how big is the gap between the unpublished writers and the bestsellers. That gap is filled with people like me, people who have been writing, I think, perfectly good books for quite a few years and publishing them consistently, but have never hit the bestseller list. The reality of publishing is that the vast majority of people who get books accepted and published are not going to make it onto the bestseller list. And most of these writers are being published by small presses, independent presses. That could be a genre press, it could be a regional press, or some other independent publisher. Now, there are great things about being published by small presses. Over the last 25 years, my books have been published by three great presses, Review and Herald Publishing and Pacific Press Publishing, who both cater to a small corner of the Christian market, and most recently by Breakwater Books here in St. John's, Newfoundland. A small publisher will do lots of great things for you. They will give you lots of individualized, personalized attention, and particularly if they're a regional publisher and your book has local content, they will be very instrumental in getting you signing in local bookstores and interviewed and reviewed in the local press, which means they're going to be getting your book into the hands of the very people who are most likely to want to read it. And that's fantastic.
But don't kid yourself. Your wonderful small indie press is not going to get your book here on the huge display rack at the front of the chain store. And it's not because they don't love your book. It's not because they're not dedicated or doing their best. It's because those things have absolutely nothing to do with who gets the prime real estate at the front of the big chain bookstore. You will do book signings. Absolutely you will. You'll get to sit at glamorous events like this with a fixed smile on your face as shoppers go past and completely ignore you.
Actually, that day wasn't a bad signing at all. I ended up signing and selling 5 books. On another excellent day at a local bookstore, I sold 7 books, and that was great. That was the day I went home and read the note on Twitter from Rick Riordan about how he had to go home and ice his hand after signing 3,000 books that day. I was pretty happy with my book signs that day, but I did not have to, and I probably never will have to ice my hand at the end of a book signing. Sometimes you may even get nominated for awards, which explains the way I'm dressed tonight, because I got nominated for an award, and no, it wasn't, you know, the Man Booker Prize or the Orange Prize or even the Giller Prize, but it was the Newfoundland History and Heritage Award for a book that contributes to our understanding of the history of our province, which is awesome. And I know it's really a cliche to say, oh, it's an honor just to be nominated, but it is, especially when you're nominated alongside people who are, you know, acknowledged giants of the local literary scene like Kevin Major and Agnes Walsh. Of course, the problem with being nominated alongside people like that is that I know I have virtually no chance of winning, but still, I dress up in my pretty clothes and I show up on the awards night because it's one more opportunity to read from my book and promote it to some people who might not have heard of it before, and that is always a good thing.
Sometimes, against all odds and even your own expectations, you'll actually win an award, like I did, which is awesome. But the real reward doesn't come from sales or signings or awards. It comes when you get to share your book with readers who've loved it and enjoy talking about it. Like these fantastic women at a local book club I visited who had such a great time discussing my book that for me, it brought back all the joy of writing it.
There are so many rewards to being a writer. And the thing about the book clubs and connecting with readers is a big one. But there is an even bigger one, and it's this. The other thing that happened to me this week, other than, you know, signings and book clubs and awards nominations, is that I finished NaNoWriMo. I got 50,000 words written on this new novel, and it was frustrating at times, and a lot of it is first draft junk that's going to get thrown out, but it was a great experience. My dad used to be in the publishing business. He ran one of those small local indie presses, And one time someone who wasn't in the publishing business asked him how much money writers made. And my dad told him how much their best-selling author had made in royalties off their last book. And it was, you know, in the area of a few $1,000s, not enough to quit your day job. And the other guy looked at him and said, "But why would anybody do that then?" And my dad said, "Poor things, they can't help themselves." I really think that's what it comes down to as a writer. Whether you're self-published, unpublished, published by a small press, or published by a big press, you gotta love it for its own sake, so much that you just can't help yourself.